West Ham and Norwich City return to Premier League action tomorrow evening, having booked both of our places in the round 4 of the FA Cup. David Moyes' side got the better of Leeds United, as we saw 2-0 at the weekend, while the Canaries ran out 1-0 winners at Charlton Athletic. Welcome back to the West Ham Network for what is, I think, show number 4, 5, 6, 7. I have no idea how many shows we've done today, but we have done plenty. Matt, how you doing, mate? And how you feeling about the game tomorrow?
Good, and you know what? It's kind of like one of the only games that I struggle to get motivated for. That's just because Norwich are awful. Like they're in this weird bracket. I don't want to be disrespectful, but they're in this weird bracket. It's them, Fulham, and West Brom, and it's like their owners have got this thing where they're happy to be like in every other year in the Premier League because the finances secure them. But they don't want to. They need to spend some money this year, and that's why the manager got sacked. But they don't want to go overhead, so they're in this little like purgatory of too good for one, not good enough for the other. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, let's go smash them. When I fully expect like a 4-0 win tomorrow, easy. Like,
I can't handle it. I can't handle you, Matt. I can't handle you. 1 minute you're negative and now you're positive, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel about the game tomorrow anymore. Anyway, listen, it's not just myself and Matt, but it's not an away fan. You've just watched him for 3 solid hours and he can't help himself. His name is Stelios.
Can't stay away.
I'm testing out my new system. Can you hear me properly?
What?
Yeah. Oh my God. See, I didn't have to. If I had time to set this up properly, I would have done it earlier. But
how you feeling then?
You've both frozen.
No, we're here. After the
you both froze.
Matt, you can see
I can hear you,
Yeah.
Right, still, after hearing the thoughts of what Matt has just said, how are you feeling about tomorrow night's game?
Maybe I should go and leave you to it.
Still, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Oh, you're back normal now. Yes. Even though I laughed in the background, I 100% agree with Matt that Norwich are awful. And if we don't beat them, as in spank them tomorrow, I'd be very, very surprised. They're awful. They struggled. Who did they play at the weekend in the FA Cup?
Charlton.
No, they didn't. Did they?
You did the FA Cup, yeah.
Yeah, Charlton. Oh,
yeah.
And they struggled.
Yep.
I mean, they won, but they didn't play well, did they? They were awful. You know.
But the thing is, they've not been on a great run. They were desperate to break that, that loss, that consistent amount of losses, and they did. Albeit, yes, it's against League One opposition in the FA Cup, but sometimes you need that. You need that win to take you away from the current cycle that you're in, which is a negative cycle. At Norwich City, Matt. I mean, unless I'm just trying to look into this a little bit further than what I should, Matt.
Yes, you do. And
he's done.
It's kind of it's, for them. No, don't get me wrong. Like, because we've been there, and when you're a team down the bottom and you're not winning games, you just take any sort of win you can get to break that. It's almost like a depressive cycle, isn't it? You play a game, you get a bit of hope. As soon as you go behind, you're like, well, that's it. That's another game done. And we know that because we've been there. We've had years of it, so we know exactly where they're coming from, and it is hard. So any sort of win is a win. But like Stel said, they played League One Charlton, and I went there the other week, and they played decent football, Charlton, but you could quite evidently see that it's not a good standard. It's a good standard for where they are, but they struggled to beat them. And like, at the moment, I'm just going for the team they put out in the league last time, and I look at this team, and I'm like,
yeah. I've got that, but before
there's nothing in it.
Stel, before we even go to that team, and I know you're not going to stay for long, Stel, because you've been told you've got to go for your dinner. So the month of December for Norwich saw them suffer 5 consecutive Premier League defeats
I am
without
going for my
scoring
dinner.
a,
Yes, I am.
Yeah, didn't score a goal. They
without
didn't score a
scoring a
single goal.
single goal and conceding 14 goals in those 5 games. Oh, the Stel's on a slight big delay. Stel was on a huge delay.
Mate, they're gonna get spanked tomorrow. They absolutely are, and I can't see any other result apart from us really beating them convincingly.
Is it me? Stel, you're lagging. Do you know that?
Yeah, it's still. Yeah, he's really far behind.
I'll go.
Right.
I'll leave you to
You
it.
say your buys. That's it.
All right.
Much better. I don't know what was going on there with Stel, but yeah, Matt, 14 goals in the 5 games in the Premier League. They've had 2 games cancelled due to COVID, obviously West Ham and Leicester City, which was planned for New Year's Day. And they fell, I heard rumours kicking about that they were subject to one of the hardest hit Premier League clubs due to COVID. At one point, they only had 4 players turn up to first team training during their segment. But this is the return game. But you are confident, mate. I mean, everyone in the chat, please get your opinions in and let us know your thoughts. But let's talk a little bit about Norwich. We won't go too much in depth about it, but let's talk about Norwich. Now, listen, a change in manager, and it's seen Dean Smith come into the helm at Norwich City. But he's got a tough job, mate, and that really does come down to what you said at the start of the show, the investment that the club are willing to do and where they kind of see themselves in the Premier League.
Well, that is sort of why Dean Smith's now in charge.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember the old manager's name. But this was the first year they actually did spend money. They spent about 70 million, which you and I know sitting here that if you're a Premier League team, 70 million is like a tick over 1 year just to sustain where you are.
Yeah.
So if you're coming in from a league below and you're spending 70 million, that's not even going to keep you in the league. But for them, it's a massive outlay. I mean, I just brought up their team from last time. And I looked at that team and I was like, well, that's not the team that's going to play.
Well,
I brought out another team and it's like, I don't even know what their team is.
Well, this is the team.
That's the team. But I believe that's the team that was very much COVID struck.
Yeah. But the other
team
thing
they played before that, in a game before that, is like, they're Tim Krul in goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Max Aarons was the fullback.
Yeah. Yeah.
The centre backs, Kabak, had that horrible 6-month stint at Liverpool, got relegated with Schalke. He's come in. Ben Gibson, centre back.
Yeah.
I remember him years ago. Was it Middlesbrough?
Mm-hmm.
I think we were linked to him like once upon a time.
Yeah.
Brandon Williams, left back, is all known from Man United. They've got, from what I can see, is just a very, very championship team. But
they did bring in one player in the summer who was highly thought of, and that is Billy Gilmore on loan from Chelsea. However, he has actually temporarily gone back to Chelsea because he's picked up an ankle injury and he's going to be missing apparently for up to 4 to 5 weeks, which is
I don't think the Norwich fans are perfectly honest that much bothered about it, to be honest. Yeah. I saw a video on Twitter recently. I don't know if that was the Charlton game or the game you brought up the squad from, the last league game they played.
Yeah.
But they were literally in the crowd. There was a video from in the stand, and they were just telling him
trying to say go back to Chelsea. Yeah,
I think it was the Palace game. I think it was the last league game. Yeah, to go back to Chelsea.
Yeah.
They got him. Absolutely. They got Cantwell,
who apparently is on his way out of the door. I mean, I think
you know what? I put it out there. I'd take him.
I think he's a ball carrying midfielder, isn't he? And he's if.
Lingard isn't going to happen, I'd take a gamble on him because he won't cost you a lot of money. He fell out of favour with the last manager. He's not even really in favour with new manager. I think he said he's out of contract at the end of the season. You see what Moyes done with Lingard. I'd give Cantwell a go.
Yeah,
but and then they brought in this Giannis. The problem is they spent a lot of money on players, but they didn't buy from sensible leagues.
Yeah,
they went and bought from like the Turkish league and the Greek league. If you buy a player from Europe and you buy him from one of the big 5 leagues, and you spend reasonable money on him, even if he doesn't work out in the Premier League, you'll more than likely probably get 75% of your outlay back the next year selling him back to a team in Europe. You know, a case in point would be like us with Yarmolenko.
Yeah.
The injuries he's had are detrimental to his West Ham career, but like whenever we done the previews for all the European games, the European away fan we had on, they all said the guy they were looking at for was Yarmolenko because of his history in Europe. But yeah, they got this guy like Giannis, who's a left back. I think they got him, and is it Placheta, as a left winger? And they got him from I think they got him from the same team. I think this team done them for like 20 odd million for 2 players that I just never heard of.
I love that. He said the team done them for 20 million for 2 players you've never heard of. That is a saying and a half, mate.
I'm sorry, it's just it is what it is. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, but it just that's why that's that old manager got sold. That's why he got sacked, because they've spent money and there's not much to show for it.
The thing is, I don't think, and I don't want people to think that you're sitting here. I think your frustration as a football fan is Norwich's stance at how they approach the league, rather than being a cocky West Ham fan. I don't think you're certainly not coming across as a cocky West Ham fan. I think you're looking at it from a kind of point of view where, and fair play, like you said, like there are clubs out there that do seem to manage their expectations in terms of, we think we kind of know we're going to go down, but we keep within this squad, we'll bounce straight back up. And
don't get me wrong, in COVID world, it is the best for a team that's flirting relegation promotions. It is the best way to go because they will be entirely self-sustainable. They generally, every time they come up, they normally have, and they haven't really had it yet this year, they normally have one like standout player. They'll sell for decent money. Last year it was Lewis. Well, last 2 years ago it was Lewis, went to Newcastle. Obviously there was big thoughts at the time of Max Aarons. Haven't seen much this year, but it's always hard to be a standout in a relegation team. Like you have to be exceedingly good to stand out in that team.
Yeah,
it's just it's frustration. I'd hate to be a Norwich fan because it's like you can't enjoy like going up to the Premier League. They can't enjoy it because it's like probably at the start of the season they probably have this hope that we're going to do really well, and you always get that buff at the start of the season. Newly promoted teams, first month you can run harder than the rest of the league. 6 weeks in, that'll catch up with you, and then you've got to start playing proper football. And then it's like you said, this December they didn't score a single goal, and they just got not spanked, but 2-3-0 losses every game.
Yeah,
and you think they're just gonna? I think they've won. What is it? 1 game, 2 games? They've won all season.
Yeah. Yep.
It must.
No.
Don't get me wrong, because they're going to go back. They will go back down, regardless of result tomorrow. They'll get relegated at the end of the season. And then the fans will have a really good year next year because they'll probably have another brilliant promotion campaign.
Yeah.
But it's just...
Yeah. Another player, though, to keep an eye on, and we all know about it, I mean, he can kind of blow hot and cold, is Pukki. I think he's been missing for the last couple of games, but apparently he may be back for tomorrow. I mean, he is a threat, isn't he? Yeah? Do you agree?
He needs a service, and but from what I've seen, they're not even giving the service.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna kind of beat around the bush here. As much as I'm saying there's a threat, in the 19 games that Norwich have played this season, they've scored 8 goals and conceded 42.
Well, I'm not being funny. You could probably put Antonio in that team and he would struggle. Probably put Harry Kane in that team and he'd struggle. If
But
you've
Pookie
got
does
no,
have
if
he
you,
does
if you,
have 5
if you
goals
get,
though. I mean, he's got more than half of their goals for the whole team.
yeah,
5 goals coming from one outlet.
and and you know what? In fact, that's probably a credit to him. It shows you probably how good of a centre forward he
Player.
is,
Yeah.
because he literally is feeding on scraps. And the fact he's managed to get 5 goals out of their 8, you know, I remember the goal they got. I think it was away at Newcastle. Was like brilliant, like half volley or volley. It was into the top corner.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't get. And that game actually brings to my head probably atypical of their season. They played 83 minutes with an extra man. I think they drew 1-1. If I remember, I think they drew. I think they gave away a penalty for Newcastle to take the lead when Newcastle were down to 10 men, and they pulled it back. I think they drew 1-1. But they created not like barely anything. I think that was probably the only decent chance they created in what would have been over 90 minutes with an extra man.
Luthers, I just want to
Shows you
address
the struggles
this.
they're at.
I did say that Norwich had 5 defeats, and that's jinxed us. Now they had 5 defeats in the Premier League. However, the victory over Charlton has ended that kind of run of defeats. So there you go. I'm just trying to kind of, knock that.
Stan Byram done an interview today, and he said they're struggling for confidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think he's had a big, long battle, hasn't he? 20 odd months out of the league, and he finds himself back into the team, and he's going to come up against West Ham tomorrow. Nice to see. I don't think there was ever really anything wrong. Injuries kind of scuppered his career at West Ham, but he's kind of worked his way back, and he's going to be there. But it'll be nice. It'll be nice for him to see him. But I think we've probably spoken enough. I mean, before we move on to West Ham, when it comes to Norwich City, mate, how do you think Dean Smith and Norwich are going to approach West Ham tomorrow?
I mean,
listen, no, I know, but
it's either going to be they're going to sit back, put everyone behind the ball, and try and hit us on the counter. And for me, that's just not going to work, right? If you're down the bottom, you can't defend anyway because you're conceding so many goals. That's why you're losing games.
Yeah,
they'd be better off try and have a go, realistically. But I just don't think they will. I think Dean Smith's going to be like, you know what, keep it tight. If we're still level by like the 70th minute, well, then we can start having a go. That's
James,
just.
I'm sorry, Matt. I have to read this one out. Seeing as Stato is such a positive mood, Norwich have taken points off 6 different teams this season. 5 of them were against teams that have taken points off us. Mandy's saying, let's not talk about Norwich. And I think you're right, Mandy. I think it's time to move on to our beloved and beautiful West Ham. Well, yeah, let's do it. Now, something we haven't done yet, which we'll do right now, is let's take a look and see what happened the last time out the two clubs met in the Premier League. Antonio has scored 5 goals in his last 4 games against Norwich. Of course, from that game, he got 4 in the 4-0 win at Carrow Road the last time the sides met in the Premier League. 4 goals. I remember that game really well, Matt, as well. And I mean, what a great kind of confidence booster for someone like Mickey Antonio. And I think he'll be kind of buzzing to potentially get into this game. I think, any opposition would be as well, with as much respect as possible.
Well, that was one of their massive relegation 6-pointers, wasn't it, in Project Restart? I think was that the week before Watford, or it was around the Watford game as well. We had I think we had them back to back in some sort of order.
Yeah,
and you're thinking it's away from home in a relegation 6-pointer, and even that game, Norwich come out like they were already down. It was what I remember, a very, very comfortable. Was it a 4-0, 5-0? I know Antonio scored 4 goals. I can't remember if we scored any more outside of Antonio.
Yep.
It was.
I mean,
and Antonio will be buzzing to play, won't he? He'll remember back to that game.
Yeah, I
And
think
everything can
we
get a
all-
few more goals here.
Yeah. Here's some stats for you, though. Let me read some of these stats out for you. West Ham won home and away against Norwich in the Premier League in the 2019-20 season, having won just 2 of our previous 10 against Norwich in the competition. So, we've drew 6 and lost 2. So it's kind of even Stevens over the last 10 games. Norwich haven't won any of their last 8 away league games against West Ham, drew 4, lost 4 since the 2-0 victory in March 1989. West Ham lost 2-1 at home to Brentford earlier this season. Only 3 times before have we lost home games against more than one promoted side in a single season. I've already spoken to everyone saying that Norwich have just won 1 of their last 28 Premier League away games against London sides. Some crazy stats there. But let's go over and see what Mr. David Moyes had to say in the press conference. I'm going to briefly gloss through it because obviously I've done a show in his press conference today. So a couple of points I just kind of want to address is really the kind of team news. Of course, that's the kind of most important part. That's a difficult question to answer. Like all clubs, injuries and COVID are all around every club, and our club as well. It's a difficult time of year and a busy programme. Kurt's doing well in reference to Kurt Zouma. I couldn't give you an idea exactly when he'll be back. We're just trying to get him correct and in the right condition as well. Hopefully he's not too far away. We could probably do with some more cover because of Angelo Ogbonna's season-long injury. And if we can get Kurt back, that eases the pressure. But we're always looking to strengthen and find players who can help. The sooner we can get Kurt back, the better. I mean, how are you feeling about the fact that Zouma is on his way back, rumoured to be potentially available maybe as soon as this weekend? But I said in the video earlier on, Matt, if Zouma is close to being back and if Creswell, if rumours are to be believed, is close to being back, would you even remotely consider risking them for tomorrow's game?
No, not in the slightest.
Yep.
I'm not being funny. You could quite comfortably play Longjello at left back, and it wouldn't bother me tomorrow. You could probably play one of the kids at centre back alongside Dawson. It wouldn't bother me tomorrow. That's sort of standard. Norwich is out.
Yeah.
It's.
I know, but you're
Not in the slightest.
Confidence is making me a little bit fearful, to be honest. I kind of get this point from Fremer, to be honest. I don't care how much we win. Just get me the 3 points, please. And right now, if you said to me, would you take a 1-0 win? I absolutely would. I feel like you wouldn't, but I feel like I absolutely would. So we spoke about that very briefly. He went on and talked about transfers, but we've done that earlier on. He spoke about scheduling. He says, we're focused on the game now. We're moving on. We've just come out of a really busy schedule. We've had no games off, but for some reason, we're pushed into the first rearranged game we have in the calendar, which is strange. We've got it and we'll get on with it. And he has that kind of attitude about kind of, let's just get on with this. And, we're in a bit of a run. We've had a dip. We had a dip in form, but we have won the last 2 games. And you kind of feel, Matt, that part of me is a bit like, well, if players are okay. Now, the rumours world is a crazy world. We heard earlier during the Leeds game that Ashby and Sufal had come down with COVID. Don't know how true it was because they're not naming players' names. Sufal and Ashby were missing for the matchday squad for Leeds. However, Ashby made the under-23 games yesterday. And we don't know if Sufal will be back for the game tomorrow night. And we don't know who else is not available for the game tomorrow night because he isn't naming names and managers have stopped naming names. So that's what's making it a bit more difficult. But fair play to Moyes for his attitude towards the scheduling the games compared to other managers.
Well, yeah, he's one of the only ones that's just gone, look, let's just get on with it. However, he does make a very, very valid point. Right? Considering the other teams, the amount of games the other teams have not played, and we missed one game, it's like, yeah, you're the first game that can play.
Yeah.
I suppose technically Everton and was it Everton Leicester would have been, but that game's now been called off. That should have been played today, but that's been called off for the second time or something.
Yeah,
I think Leicester had it called off.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's very weird. But I actually like the fact that Moyes is like, no, let's get on with it. And like you said, at the moment we're in a run of form where we're winning games. So I'd much rather just play the games and get them won than maybe have it logged back like another 2 months to the middle of March when maybe you want to try and get your guys playing once a week and have a bit of rest. Because don't forget, potentially we've got Europe still to come back in. and FA Cup. So trying to fit these fixtures in later in the season may not be the easiest thing to do. So
no, of course not.
Yeah, get it out of the way while the players are fit and while we're in a good period of play momentum. It's probably a good time to do it.
Let's talk about Vlasic. Probably one of his best games in a West Ham shirt against Leeds, could you say?
I think for about 2 months, every time he's played, we've gone, that's been his best game.
Yeah.
And then, like, whether it was starting or coming off the bench, you'd be like, well, that was his best game. That was his best game. That was his best game. It's just continually built on performance, isn't it? He's gone, I've done this game next week. And then he's just continued gone on. And then obviously he started and now he's pulling up that as well. Like I said, I think I said it after the game at the weekend. Like he's now reminding me building towards like a left-sided version of Bowen. He may not have the flair trickery, but his ability to pick up the ball and run at people, get past people, drop in between the lines to pick up the ball and turn and go. He's sort of got getting there with his decision making in the final third. He's picked up form at the right time.
Yeah.
Just as Ben Rama's gone off to Europe, gone off to Africa. Sorry. Yeah. African nations.
So, that's what you want, though, from the squad. You want players stepping up to the plate at the right time. And at the end of the day, Moyes has, and I'll repeat it again, he's always said that when he brought Vlasic in, it was never really particularly for this season, but we're starting to get little glimpses of hope in terms of what he can offer us. So I think it's going to be a big kind of spell of games coming up, particularly for Vlasic and any of the kind of younger players. We're going to go into choosing the team. And of course, we're going to talk about the goalkeepers, Fabianski, and of course, Areola. But if you are in the chat and you want to participate, please name your starting 11 by putting it in the comments just now and we'll go through it. So name your starting 11. Right, Matt, it's that interesting time of the show, which I do enjoy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's quite fun. And hopefully you enjoy it also. So it's choosing our starting 11 for the game tomorrow evening against Norwich City. So let's get into it, mate. Now, you've been calling for it for a long time. We've been saying it week in and week out. And there's been several times this season we've gone in the Premier League. I can see this change being made. But will it get made tomorrow or not?
No, I've given up. I've given up on that train now. I'm waiting for Fabs to pull a hammy again, clearing a ball before Areola gets.
Not that you're hoping. Not that you're hoping.
No, it's no, not at all. I just personally, I think Areola's shown that where he is at is now. He's the overall better goalkeeper. Like if we took all the different stats you'd want from a goalkeeper, or say you had all different criterias, Areola now ticks more boxes than Fabianski. However, we've always said Moyes won't drop a player that's not had if they're not putting in bad performances. I think there's parts of Fab's performance that are bad, his distribution and his ability to come off the line. However, while we're still winning games and while that's not causing an issue, Moyes won't drop it. So probably rightly, you'd argue that he's still the number one goalkeeper.
Paul Evans is saying Fab can't keep a clean sheet. Declan Rice, of course, or Mr. Reese is saying he should put Fabianski in goal. Marcus Lieb is saying the same 11 we played against Leeds in the Cup. That's an interesting one. That's interesting. What do you think of that one? The same 11 against Leeds in the Cup. Areola, Fredericks, Diop, Dawson, Rice, Souček, Bowen, Lanzini, Vlasic, Antonio.
It's probably not far to what I've got written, but I just think, as we saw from the weekend, that Areola is still very much the cup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Now, if he got promised to come in as cup goalkeeper for a year, like you're going to come in, but first year you're going to be understudy to Fabianski, and then you're going to get the first team shirt, he might have agreed to that, so he might not have any problems with it.
Yeah.
Me as a fan, and I'm sitting there thinking he's the better goalkeeper. Why is he not playing? But I'm not a manager. I'm just a guy sitting behind a camera on YouTube. So.
It's interesting though, because people are making a valid point. about like keeping the same team as the last time out, but meaning the FA Cup. Fab is solid. Areola acts too hastily. Sometimes Areola isn't needed against blunt Leeds. Yes, they were the same team. Vinny is saying reason why Areola won't start because Moyes won't buy him. So it'll be an interesting one. Let's get into the defence though, mate. I mean, it's a no-brainer really, isn't it? Dawson and Diop again deputising the centre-back pairing.
Yep.
Left back. Now, good news is we believe Creswell is close, but I don't believe he will be back for the game tomorrow. Again, we're not so sure on the Vladimir Sofal situation. So on the basis, I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, I don't think Sofal will make the game tomorrow, to be honest.
No,
And if he doesn't,
I don't think he will.
that leaves.
So I think it will be the same back four from the weekend.
Yeah, apart from obviously the keeper there. So we're going to go for Ben Johnson on the left and Ryan Fredericks on the right. I mean, Ryan Fredericks, to be fair to me, he done all right, did he not?
Yeah, it's like I said, apart from that one, I don't know what was going through his head when he had that cutback, and I still get mad about that.
Yeah.
When he literally had about 3 players to pick out in the box at all 3, and he tried to shoot from a possible angle, and then sat on the floor and threw his hands up and just shouted "what" at everyone. Because everyone basically was like moaning at him that he didn't put it back, and he was like, "What?" Apart from that, you know what you're going to get from Fredericks. His final ball in the final third does often lack, and he is atypically one of them, doesn't have that good final third decision making, but he's a fullback. He's strong in a tackle. He doesn't always track the runner as well, but then he's very, very quick and he will recover it. So I would expect him to have no problems against Norwich at all.
Yep. So there you go. There's our flat back four. Now, the only one to contest there would be whether or not Vladimir Sofal makes the game. So I don't think he will make the game tomorrow. That's just me making a judgment on the fact that I think and heard that he did have COVID, but I don't want to be spreading things that I'm not too sure about. So I'm just going with the fact that Fredericks will go in there. In the middle of the park. Now, me and you received a text message today. No names will be mentioned in it, but this man came up as one of the players that may have come down with the virus and might not be able to play. Now, again, where it came from, they did say that they don't know how true it is or not. But are we just going to go on the premise that he is going to be available?
Well, it's you know what, as you said, Moyes rightly so, because no one else is saying anything. So no one else is saying he's fit, he's not, he can play, he can't. However, if we do have new COVID cases, it would be a very logical step to say Souček might be one of them because of his closeness with Sofal.
Yeah.
So Moyes wouldn't admit anyway. Moyes never going to say, "Oh, by the way, he's not playing."
Yeah.
So you know what? If he's not got COVID, he'll play. If there's no COVID, then and no injuries, that will be the starting 2.
Yeah.
If he has got COVID, and probably Noble will come in.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move into. Should we just go straight to the top and put him in? There's no point really in beating about the bush. He got 4 goals last time he played against him, so that's Mickey Antonio up top. Yeah.
I think this is a lot easier than that. This decision will be a lot easier than the fullbacks.
Right.
There's only 3 positions I already have written down I wasn't sure about, and it was the fullbacks and Souček.
So there you go. Let's go Lanzini in there, and then we've got Jared Bowen out on the right, and that leaves, where is he? Vlasic out on the left.
Yep. That's
everyone happy with that?
At the moment, with no better. You know what? He'd probably even argue with Ben Rama. I don't know, because Ben Rama was in decent form as well. But certainly without Ben Rama at the moment, I think that front 4 picks itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fair play to Vlasic, though. I mean, he's kind of, like we said earlier on, he's brought himself into the game and into the team, and he's going to get a run of games now, and this is exactly what he's won. Is that harsh on the likes of Fornals, if you think about his performance, when he came on as a sub, or do you think he's been around the club enough to know that, you know what, it's your time to just sit on the bench for a little while and give another player a chance because you're going to get game time?
Well, yes, I think there's plenty of games coming thick and fast. I mean, we still got 3 games this month. Then there's a 2-week break. Then it probably all kicks in again, because you'll have cup games, FA Cup, Europa League, with the league fixtures as well. So there's going to be plenty of games, and Pablo's probably been around the club now long enough to know what Moyes does.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, he's had to drop out, but then Vlasic and Lanzini have both stepped up and are in brilliant forms, and Moyes isn't going to drop them. And he's now going to have to be the one that has the impact coming off the bench to make Moyes second guess again, and then maybe wait for one of them to international duty, injury, COVID, to then step back in and push himself back into the team again. So, you know what? It's nice to have options off the bench that can actually have a real impact. So,
yeah.
It's...
And for such a you could say a thin squad. The depth that we've got has got some really decent quality in it. There's no ifs and buts about it. We need to strengthen. Father Snowman, that team's a joke. Fornals makes the team easy. Mark Wake is saying Fornals for Vlasic, Masuaku for Johnson. I think the biggest issue here, though, Mark, is that we've seen Johnson start at left back over Masuaku, and again, it depends on whether or not
he's absolute pony at left back.
Yeah. Father Snowman news was Ashby had COVID and then played yesterday. I mean, we heard the rumor that he had it. We're not too sure. He may have had it before, and he could have been out of his isolation period and things like that.
Yeah, you only have to isolate for 7 days now. So it depends. You have to isolate for 7 days and then produce 2 negative tests on the last day to then come out of isolation.
Come out on the 8th day. Yeah.
So it could have been that he was isolating, and then when was the under 23 game? Yesterday. So it could have been that he then done 2 tests Monday morning, and they were like, "Yeah, you're fine now," and he went and played.
Yeah.
So it could be Soufal, maybe. But again, you don't know when they got it. Just because they both off at the same time, don't mean they both picked it up at the same time. Soufal's might be he comes out of isolation today, might be tomorrow, might be Thursday. We don't know when he picks it up.
Yep. Absolutely. My Hammerhead is saying my starting 11 would be Fabianski, Fredericks, Diop, Dawson, Johnson, Rice, Kroll, Lanzini, Vlasic, Bowen, and Antonio. Is it a game that you could rest some of your big guns, or is Moyes doesn't really have that? Well, you could.
For me, yes.
Doesn't do that though, does it? Does he?
So, if we wanted to, for hypothetically, go into an entirely different 11, say Moyes wanted to prioritise the Leeds games because he felt that this was an easier game, you could quite easily say it'd be Areola, Fredericks and Masuaku at the fullbacks with Dawson and Diop, because you ain't going to change them. You could go Noble and Crowell or Rice and Crowell in the middle. And then the front four pick themselves. But, playing Norwich, you could change the midfield too, and you could change the fullbacks. And it probably wouldn't have that much of an impact on it. I mean, Masuaku, it probably is one of the only games you could play Masuaku, a bit like that Burnley game, because they are probably going to stick 11 men behind the ball. They're probably going to need to spread the play, get the fullbacks beyond the runners to make width and get crosses in. So, you know what, maybe Moyes does play both Fredericks and Masuaku, but I can't see it. I don't think Moyes, from what we see, we probably say Moyes doesn't really think that way, does he?
Well, let's put in that team. Let's put in the kind of potential other team that we could have. So that is just changing. Is it only just changing the one position?
Fullbacks.
The fullbacks.
Changing the fullbacks and holding midfielders.
And then we've got there, and then we would have Rice in protecting.
You could play Rice and Noble. You could play Rice and Crowell. You could play Noble and Crowell.
Noble, then Lanzini in the middle again, the kind of forward.
And then the front four probably pick themselves.
Yeah, pick themselves.
You could put Fornals in for one, Fornals in for one of them instead. I just don't see I don't see Armolenko coming in.
No.
But I think it'd be them 4 positions that you could change. Would be the whole midfielders. It's rotation, isn't it? You could rotate the fullbacks and whole midfielders. That sort of team, Rice, Fredericks and Masuaku probably would work. Like I said, because if they're going to stick 11 men behind the ball and you're expected to... We've seen before, we sometimes struggle with just having to play 11 men behind the ball. We struggle to break teams down. And although we didn't get the win, I think Masuaku, if I remember from the highlights I saw, played quite well against Burnley. He got quite down. He got down past fullback a few times, put balls in the box. We just didn't finish any of the chances that come in. So, if you want a more attacking, out and out left-footed fullback, you could play Masuaku.
Yeah.
The only game.
But the thing is, I do agree with this sentiment as well from what Paul is saying. The best team every single game. Hope
And that is what I was going to say. Moyes doesn't really. Moyes does. And you know what? It's almost actually, in fairness to Moyes, he doesn't like to disrespect the opposition.
No, he does not.
Yes, I know. Like there will be. He done it in that Europa League game, but that was when it literally had no impact on us whatsoever. It didn't matter to us, and he wanted to give the kids some experience.
And I think Happy's point here is vital and key. We field a strong team, go 3-0 up, rest key players. The points are essential for the game tomorrow, and I think the points are essential.
Put the team out, and then if you want to make subs.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the two teams, though. We've got two options. I mean, we've got loads of options. We just don't know what players are available. This is based upon the fact that we've heard a rumour that Souček might not be available for the game tomorrow. We've also heard that Sofal might not be available for the game tomorrow, but we're not too sure. So we're playing with this four: Fredericks at right back, Johnson at left back, the usual two in the middle of the park, central defence. We've got Rice and Souček in the middle, and the front four who pick themselves. Or the alternative team could be Masuaku at left back, Fredericks at right back, because we don't think Creswell will make the game. And Mark Noble could deputise in there for Souček. But as we've said, you can have Pablo Fornals in for Vlasic. You could have Longelo in.
You could have Pablo Fornals in the middle.
Yeah, or Pablo
alongside
Fornals.
Rice.
I don't think you're going to drop Lanzini right now because I think he's playing on confidence.
No, I meant as in alongside Rice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because if it's going to be a game when we're expected to just go against 11 men and they're going to have random counters, you've got Rice sitting there with the fullback, the centre backs. You might need someone to pick a pass, and if you played Fornals in there, you could literally let Fornals and Lanzini rotate round.
Yep.
Again, I don't think he'll do it. I think he'll just pick his strongest 11 and just go.
And go for it. Yep. Well, listen, we've got a new segment tonight, and that's called Fans Corner. So if you're watching and you want to get involved, I'll let you know how you can do it after. So let's go and check out what people have had to say about the game tomorrow.
It's Reese, you probably know from the chat. Anton's asked me to do a quick video regarding tomorrow's match. Norwich at home should hopefully win this match because they're a lower team in the division and looking likely they're going to get relegated. It's a bit annoying that it's midweek because resting players and stuff seems to be played like 2 days ago. I don't think we're going to see too much of a change to the lineup, league lineup, obviously not the cup lineup, but yeah, hopefully that Sufal is back and hopefully we win something like 3-4-0 because we are massive. Come on, you Irons.
Right, Norwich at home. I'm looking forward to this one, but it's not going to be a walkover like I think a lot of people think it's going to be. I know we've got quite a good record against the Canaries, but I'm thinking this is going to be a scrappy 1-0 winner, not a 4-0 like it was last time they were in the Premier League, with Antonio getting all four. Hopefully it will be, but I can't see it being that easy. They're fighting for their lives and we're fighting for top four. We've got momentum behind us, we're in a winning streak, so if we can keep that up, that'd be fantastic. But, it's never that easy with West Ham. We always try and do it the hard way. And typical West Ham, we can get 3-0 up at half time and be even more worried we're going to draw 3-3, which would be, so typical of West Ham at the minute. So for me, I'd like to be 3-1. I can see them getting a goal, Tim Pukki, and then maybe a goal from Lanzini and Antonio. But for me, got to get this win. Scrappy win, just get the win. 3 points is a must. Come on, you Irons.
West Ham Norwich tomorrow night at the London Stadium. Massive game for the Canaries. They are bottom of the league, only 10 points picked up so far this season, and a game that West Ham are definitely expected to win. At the same time, we cannot afford to be complacent, but I have every faith in the lads and their ability to get 3 points tomorrow. I think the likes of Mikel Antonio, Jared Bowen are going to cause havoc, and I definitely expect the lads to get a result. I think with Ben Rama dropping out, we could see the likes of Pablo Fornals coming into the game, so hopefully he can get some minutes and Lanzini keep up his good form. At the back, we're going to have to be tight. Norwich have struggled to score this season, so I don't see any problems in that department. Let's go get the 3 points, lads. Come on, you Irons.
Hi everybody, Russ of the West Ham Network, me again. So my thoughts about the game tomorrow against Norwich. I've got a feeling we're going to give someone a dicking. We haven't given a team a good old hiding for a long time. I hope it's Norwich. Be interested to see the team selection though. Can Antonio play? Would he start him tomorrow and not against Leeds? Can he start all three? Who knows? I've got a feeling Vlasic might start tomorrow, and then Fornals comes in on Sunday for Rafinha, because I imagine he'll start. So I think Vlasic will keep his place, and I really hope we get a dicking. We give him a dicking. So I'm going to say 3 or 4-0. Let's have them. Come on, you Irons.
Let's hope we don't get a dicking, DJ Russie B. That's exactly the opposite of what we want, mate. That is exactly the opposite of what we want. Now, listen, if you are watching and you want to get involved in Fans Corner, I'm going to try and make it a feature for every single show. So if you are interested, please email me on the westhamnetwork@gmail.com. There's a couple of things I just need to kind of let you know, short the time limit of the video, how you film it, etc., and how you can send it to me. And I'll try and get those videos kind of put in throughout the show as well. I'm not going to have loads every single time, probably 4 is the max, but let me know and I'll get you involved in the shows moving forward for the rest of the preview. So hope you have enjoyed that. Now it is the interesting time of the show where we get your predictions. So if you are watching, put it in the chat. Let me know your predictions for the game tomorrow evening. So, Mr. Matt Flack. Tomorrow evening, you're going to the game, the rearranged game at the London Stadium. I wish I was joining you. However, you might be seeing me a little bit sooner rather than later, but I'm going to keep that in the download because I don't want the missus to hear it. I've been looking at stuff, so I might be coming down sooner rather than later. Anyway, you're feeling confident, of course, so give me your predictions, mate.
I'm going for a minimum of 4-0.
4-0 to West Ham. I'm going to go 4-2. 4-2. That's what I'm doing.
Sorry. What did you say earlier? They've only scored 8 goals all season.
Yes, I know they have.
19 games.
Yeah,
and they're going to get another 2 in one game against us.
It's gonna take again. You know, I want us to go there and be at home and do it. But yeah, I want to respect the opposition a little bit. So yeah, let's see if we can.
Let's score half a goal a game, so you're going to give them 2 in 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan Bluebird, West Ham could be lining up £8.5 million bid for Cardiff striker Kiefer Moore. Not happening, mate. Not happening. So I don't know where you're getting that from. It is not happening. I can come on and freeze. I remember that. Apologies, Happy. Hope you're well. 18-0. It's generous, but feeling nice. Matt, 3-0, hopefully. Let's give those yellow birds a dicking. Where is Frank Butcher? I've not seen him this tonight. West Ham win 4-0 from Joan. Father Snowman 6-0. I'm going big on this one. 5-0. Matt Bryan 3-1 to the West Ham. What's the crack? Matt Flack on Sosler 5-0 to us. Mark R is saying 3-1 West Ham. Hammerhead is saying 6-2. 4-0 from Black Country Hammer. Declan Reese is saying, can you hear that whipping sound? Howard Ailes is saying I'm with Father Snowman 6-0. Knowing our luck, we will lose. I'll have a bit more faith than that. Come on, Fremer, clean sheet 3-0. WHU 58 5-1 to West Ham. All I know is Mickey is scoring twice and assisting twice. I'll take that right now. Paul Evans 5-0. Marcus Leaf 3-0 at halftime and the floodgates to open. The Dicky Birds 3-1. Vlasic, Rice, Suchek. Ludders, they haven't won one in ages and have to play West Ham United. We all know what happens. Yes, Ludders, I do tend to say that. Me and Matt have tended to say that over the last couple of years of doing these shows. However, we are a new West Ham, and if we've got to think past that, then
stop believing in the Moyes.
Yeah, Moyes, I got to believe in him. Happy Hammer saying 3-0 to the Mighty Hammers. Roy is saying 4-1 West Ham. Declan Reese is saying 7-1 West Ham. Freshfield is saying 1-0. will do.
Don't worry, I take it 1-0. Like as you said, as long as we get the 3 points. But
Yeah.
I do think it's going to be quite a comfortable. Yeah, I think it'll be a very comfortable game.
Yep. Well, let's hope it is. If you are new around here and you haven't joined us before, subscribe to the channel, click the subscription button. Beside that is the bell notification that will then notify you when a show does come out. It will give you a little notification about half an hour to 40 minutes before a show comes out. You may not have got a notification for this show this evening. That's because Stel was on so bloody late on his show. He obviously put his weekly back and delayed it and everything, so it had a knock-on effect for all the shows we had going on. But that's just what you've got to do sometimes, isn't it? Frank Butcher standing naked at someone's front with a spinning bow tie. Yes, he is. Trini saying 2-0 to us. Can't see Norwich doing anything but parking the bus and making it difficult. James Bong, 2-0 West Ham with Fab's man of the match. If Fab concedes from Father Snowman, the banner comes out with Fab out. Oh, God. Pat is mad. Didn't work today. Right. Last but not least, Mr. Matt Flack. Who's the Norwich player you fear the most for tomorrow? Oh, Matt, come on.
There generally isn't.
No, there is, mate. There is. Come on.
The only guy I would say I'd fear would be Cantwell, but he doesn't even play. So,
well, I'm going to go with Pookie. He's got 5 of Norwich's 8 goals this season. You said it earlier on yourself. You know, there's a little light there. You know, he's trying in a bit of, you know, Norwich not having a good season. Of course, they've only scored 8 goals this year. But if you had to choose one player, mate, you had to choose one player. Just say it. Just say Pookie, mate. Make me happy.
It would be Cantwell. I think he's a quality player.
Right.
But for some reason, there must be something there. There must be some sort of issue that he's had a fallout essentially with 2 different managers.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Who's the player they should fear the most for tomorrow?
It's got to be Bowen at the moment.
Bowen, the way he is.
Guy's in phenomenal form.
Yep, I think they will struggle with him tomorrow. I really do think they'll struggle with him. I think he'll run them ragged completely. I just hope that they don't kind of resort to dirty tactics, etc., to try and nullify that threat. Because I seem to remember playing Aston Villa a couple of seasons ago with Dean Smith, and I'm sure there was a couple of their players that were kind of, you know, targeting specific players of being a bit rough. So I really hope Dean Smith doesn't kind of go down that route to stop some of our best players. Bowen from the Hazard. Mandy G saying Antonio, West Ham in general. Mark Alexander saying Vlasic, Pookie. He usually attacks the Diop channel. Yeah, there you go. Hammerhead, Aaron Bowen, and the Hazri is saying Fabianski. That's probably one of our kind of weaknesses right now is the mindset of Diop, to be honest. And if it depends on who plays alongside him, that's maybe a weakness that Norwich might be able to do because Pookie is good at getting in behind defenders. And in front of goal.
That is where you like Diop looks more solid with Johnson alongside him.
Yeah.
Like when he has Masuaku alongside him, it just looks like an absolute shambles.
Yeah, you're right, mate. You are right. And Paul Evans is saying Antonio, and the Hazri is saying Fabianski to get 4 of the goals. Thank you very much. Listen, thank you for joining us on the preview. Tomorrow night, we will have a Matchday live. It looks like it's just going to be solo man, Anton on his own. So join me for the Matchday live tomorrow. I'll send the link out to the guys, and if they can jump on, they can. We've got the timer working. We have the timer working. Now, I've got the timer working, but I'm hoping my computer can handle the pressure of putting the bloody timer on the screen, so bear with me. But we do plan to go live a little bit earlier than we normally do for the Matchday Live, so please bear with us. Subscribe to the channel. You will see all the notifications coming through when we do go live on the show. Anyway, Matt, thanks for joining us. Any last words?
Easy win tomorrow, lads. Don't even worry about it. Don't even stress.
Love it, mate. And as normal, all the channel members, we do appreciate your support. If you are interested in becoming a channel member, there is an option to click join. We've got 2 tiers now rather than 4, hopefully making it a little bit more affordable for people if they're interested. It does help us out to provide you with more content, purchase new equipment, give you the best content we possibly can. And as we do, we thank all the members at the end of the show. So take it easy and we'll see you tomorrow. And come on, you Irons.
like a family tree.